Jay Wolf Live on Raw Here TV. I gotta talk about this. This is something regarding people who are criticizing the film Michael. Now, granted, I've yet to see the movie. I'm supposed to be going to see it in 2 weeks. Um, why 2 weeks? I don't even want to go into it. It's another whole story. But anyway, I gotta talk about this. I heard the reviews about the movie was great. You know, of course, for some reason, when it comes to this movie, they, I think Rotten was one of them. I don't remember if it was Rotten Tomatoes or the other review site, critic review site, that didn't want to give it the props that they should have gave it, or maybe they. Well, anyway, let me tell you what I think one of the reasons why, because I actually read some of the reviews, especially that a couple of particular reviewers, even some of the black ones on YouTube, where they were saying basically, oh, well, it was a good movie, it was a great cast, and they worked with what they had to work with, but they didn't cover the allegations and the trial and all the other bullshit that they talking about. First of all, they couldn't do it because of legalities regarding the information regarding all of that. That's why they didn't put it in the movie. They had to reshoot the movie. It took them 2 years to bring it out as a result. Okay? That's facts. I'm just stating facts. All right? So, that's why. All right? And besides, the movie covers him from 1968, roughly, my understanding, all the way to 1988. All right? I'm sure it's more that they're going to cover later on. But here's my thing. I've seen other biofilms. James Brown, the Beach Boys, Little Richard. I've seen a bunch of them. All right? Like a few of them I like to see get made as well. You know, like one for Prince, Marvin Gaye, Rick James, those guys. But some of the biopics I've seen, they didn't cover every little thing that happened to that artist or was involved in the artist. And James Brown in particular. There's a lot of stuff they left out from the James Brown movie. You know? And you know what? I didn't mind. I liked the movie. It didn't talk about all the, it talked about what he did for music. This film, the same thing. But yet you're going to criticize because people had things for Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, by the way, he was never convicted. All right? He was never, let me repeat that again. He was never convicted of child molestation, and there was no actual proof. There wasn't. No proof. That's why he didn't get convicted. All right? Now, why he still out of court with that's another whole story. I can't even, with some fans, I don't know. I can't comment on it because I don't know. But he was never convicted. That's also a fact. Now, the other thing that bothers me about people criticizing the movie was like, oh, well, Joe Jackson, it was like Joe Jackson. Let me tell y'all something. First of all, if you didn't know the history of Jackson 5, I will admit, I wasn't a fan of Joe Jackson for a couple of reasons. But I was also a kid, and I knew Jackson was a hard guy, even when I was a kid, because my dad reminded me a lot of Joe Jackson. All right? And I'm going to say this. Joe Jackson had to invoke tough love on these guys because they were young. And I didn't realize, although they were years older than me, Michael being 6 years older than me at least, and I think his brother was at least 4 years older than I was. His younger brother, Randy. I watched it was a old Tonight Show clip where they performed on and one of them shows, and they asked their ages, and I think Jackie was like, he wasn't even 25. This was like in the mid 70s or early 70s, something like that. It might have been the early 70s. And I was like, oh my God, these guys were really young. Even though I knew that when I was a kid that most of them were still young, but I didn't realize until recently how young they really were. That's how talented these brothers were. Very, 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 very talented. No doubt. You know, because Jermaine, even his young age, played a mean ass bass, man. Let's be real. And Tito was killing it, that guitar, man. Rest in peace, Tito. Very talented young guys, man. And it takes a lot to raise boys. You know, boys can be sometimes, how can I put it, a little aloof, a little precocious, you know, and boys get heavily influenced on a lot of stuff. Just like, you know, where they, you know, to make a long story short, Joe needed to be the father he had to be to his sons. That's what he was doing. But people just think, oh, well, you know, Joe was being a meanie. No, Joe was being a father. He was supposed to. Now, I will say this. My dad did remind me a lot of Joe Jackson, which is why I kind of like compared them. Very similar. I mean, they're both, you know, grew up, well, no, he actually was from Arkansas. My dad was from Mississippi, so. And I have family that's from Arkansas as well. So you never know, we might be kidding, but that's another story. But the main thing is that my dad grew up nearby Chicago, okay, which was not about less than an hour away from Gary. Right around that time frame, matter of fact. I'm talking about in the 1950s, though. He moved to Cleveland later on. But the thing of it is, you have to be invoke tough love to boys when you raise them to try to be men. This is what men do. People, for some strange reason, don't understand that. And I'm sure if Joe was white, raising boys like that, y'all wouldn't have a problem with it. Matter of fact, look at the Wilson's dad. I forgot the guy's name. It's like, well, okay, I know his last name was Wilson, but come on, man, what y'all doing out here? You people so pressed to get home. I am too, but still. But anyway, what was I going to say? Joe Jackson was just like any other father. He put tough love on him because if you're going to do this thing, this business will eat you up and spit you out. Real talk. None of the Jacksons up to Michael's issue with the Pepsi incident, or sometime after that, was ever known for blatantly out there doing drugs, you know, knocking women up, stuff like that. They were very much raised by their father. It's obvious. But y'all want to say, oh, he was this, he was that, and the blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm going to tell you, my dad had disciplinarianism with me. You know, was he tough? Yes. Was he an ass at times? Hell yeah. I still love my dad. I still miss him very much so. Because as we both got older, of course, he got older, we talked more and more about life than ever before. You know, it still was a special bond. You know, very strong bond we had. You know, but this is what men do. Real men teach them boys how to be men and survive out in this world, especially the entertainment field. Joe Jackson, who I think had a little bit of a taste of being, you know, in music himself from something I read about him years ago, at one time, knows about that. Okay? So of course he had to invoke tough love on his sons. That's what most real men do. Especially when they play a significant role in their lives. You know? And for the most part, I don't like the fact that they try to bash Joe Jackson in this movie. He was a meanie. No, he was not. He was being a father. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. But y'all get this twisted, narrow thing that, oh, black fathers are mean. No, we're not. Black fathers are more positive in the child life than the mother. In most cases. You know? Even kids I didn't raise. If I told them to do something, especially when they were young, hey, they listen. They will listen to mother. I have nephews like that right now. When they were young, would not listen to mother to save their life at the time. But as soon as I spoke up, they listened. You put the authority, you put you put the fear of God in them. You know, in a lot of cases when it comes to our kids, you have to do that because otherwise they ain't gonna listen. You know, and Joe, that's all I think he was doing. But I will say this: I think if Joe was failing as a father on Michael, Michael wouldn't be the man that he was. He would be the major superstar that he became. And the Jacksons would never have been a household name if it wasn't for Joe being the disciplinary man that he was. So I give him all the props for all props. They should just do a movie by him, you know, along with with Michael and the rest of his brothers. Real talk. I was just thinking about that. They really should. They really should. Yep. I may do a special podcast about Joe myself on Father's Day. Now I think about it. Because he epitomizes what a real father is, especially in our community. What are we doing here? These folks, I swear, I was telling my old lady just a little while, we got the worst drivers on the damn planet. They drive all kind of crazy ways. Sideways, byways. They don't have no sense of compassion on the roads, man. That's another whole story. But you know, I have to defend that. I don't think that they, in person, I don't think they have to put all of that in. They just don't need. But from my understanding, and I've heard this from some published and media posted reports that there is a sequel that's going to come out at some point to this Michael film. On what capacity, I have no idea. But what I think they should do is just concentrate on the second part where it leads up to the world tour. And they ignore all that mess about, allegations, stuff that was never proved Michael to have ever done in the first place. You know, focus on what he did on his career. You know, nobody care about it. All y'all. This is the thing about that I hate about the media as we know it today. I have some a disdain of the mainstream media because of stuff like that. All they want to hear is sensational. When it comes to black folks, this, that, the other. Now, Britney Spears, I heard, got in trouble recently. Again, what a surprise. What a shock. Yeah. She got in trouble again. Oops, she did it again. Yeah, she sure did. Yep, I think it was on the DUI charge or something like that. And I heard some of the charges, most charges already been dropped. Already. She keep getting these reprieves, but y'all never talk about that with her. And I don't even remember talking about that with her. I think they did a movie by her or something like that. Like some kind of biopic, TV biopic or something about it. But I don't remember. But anyway, they try to prop her up. And every time she mess up and she fall down, when she get back up, they try to they'll prop her up in a heartbeat. I've seen it happen. I've seen it watched it. Yep. So young people know what the daggone turn signal is. Jesus. You know, people are like, don't know what the turn signal, but they wonder why you won't slow down for them. So, but yeah, it amazes me that when it comes to us, still this, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna say this. I still feel there's a bias towards us in this country as African Americans, and not just with white folks either. I'm gonna say that. Yeah. Even other people of color. Yeah, I stand on that one. It's based on the incident that yesterday that I dealt with somebody and over the weekend. I'm gonna say that. I ain't gonna go into great detail about it, but yeah, I'm gonna say that it's true. They don't like us either. Yeah. They may pretend like they do, but the broad spectrum of it is they don't. You know. And they buy into the hype about and about the stereotypes about us too. That's the even worst part about it. They buy everything they think is a complete stereotype about us, and the bulk of it is not even true. Like I was saying earlier, they think, black people don't like to work. No, we love to work. We may do different things that we have to do to work and stay afloat. and keep our families thriving and surviving out here. But we love to work. I don't know why people told that lie. The greatest lie ever told. Greatest lie ever told. And I stand on it because of this. It's a bona fide, bald-faced lie. Black people don't like to work. Just because you see some people on board don't mean that black people don't like to work. I ain't gonna go into detail about the fact that that's a complete lie. You know, look at media reports, look at the news. You know, that don't apply to everybody, and that don't apply to ones who may be working to do something they ain't got no business doing, but they working, and I don't condone it. I really don't. That's the honest gospel. I don't condone it at all. Not for 1 minute. But and that's the thing about Joe. Joe was working. Joe had a job. But Joe was tired of, you know, I'm sure he was tired of the wages he was getting to try to feed, 10 miles in his house. He wanted something better for his family. And if that's what it took to, get him out the house by using their God-given talents to help him, hone their skills in a mostly positive way, and that's what it took. And people criticized, oh, he mean, he was on him and he did this, he did that. I don't know. You know what? I don't know what Joe did. I saw what everybody else was saying that he was doing. But I'm gonna be honest, in the bigger picture of things, we only know what was told. And then like I said, there were some stories about Joe that some of the family members even recanted later on that they said wasn't true. Now, there's some other stuff I could talk about, but I ain't gonna talk about that. All I'm gonna say is Joe was trying to make sure that they did what they needed to do to get out the situation they was in, and they were very highly successful. I can't say that I was mad about it because I wasn't in that situation. I know about my own situation growing up. But I can also say that even though that there was tough love even in my house, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for my father in my life. And if it wasn't for my father giving me that tough love. Because I can evaluate things in my life now that I probably wouldn't have had the mindset or the open-mindedness to reveal myself the things that I need to be aware of if it wasn't for my dad. That's on everything. Real talk. I'm glad. This whole thing about DMX said, or in the song, You Don't Know, he said, my mother, my father, I love him, I hate him. Sometimes I wish I didn't have him. I thank God that they made him. There it is. There it is. I can't really, because sometimes they get on your nerves and you get on theirs, but it's all about understanding that that's where you came from. There's certain things that I've had issues dealing with over the years, or even sometime now. But I understand that's where I came from. It's not about what happened. It's about what you do with the knowledge that you had when you was dealing with it. That's bottom line. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it, folks. And nothing more. So, all right, guys and gals, this is all I got. DJ Wolf, I'm out.